I was sitting watching the telly at home, actually, when you came on, Robert, I think, for one of your first performances, and I thought, God, that guy's so clever. It was just so clever, all of the
I think
wordplay.
exactly the same thing.
Do you? Good.
You're brilliant.
Not too sure about the dodgy tank tops, though, Robert.
Well, yeah, it's everyone's got to have some sort of fashion mistake, haven't they?
Go on, listen.
No, I wear what I want. You look lovely. No, I like tank tops.
Oh,
yeah. Cool.
No, you were very out there. You were very out there in your performance, mentioning Asperger's. But your diagnosis came later on, is that right?
Well, my diagnosis... Well, firstly, I have to say this is slightly ironic, because it's actually my day off. So instead of having a day blocking out the world, I've come onto a programme talking about how autistic people should have time blocking out the world.
Sorry.
So I was actually diagnosed initially when I was 20. But the problem is you then have to have a specialist diagnosis. And it's like asking someone who's having trouble getting their life together that in order to get help to get their life together, they first got to get their life together. And it's vicious.
You said that's interesting, because you said in that when you first started, you had to get your diagnosis, you had to fill out a lot of paperwork, which in itself was just a nightmare for you.
I at the time, because of jobs and because of everything, I was struggling financially. I was struggling with depression, with anxiety, with eating disorders, comedy, and I've gone through all of that sort of stuff. And then at the end of it, to get the actual official diagnosis, when I decided I want the official, it took 3 years because I didn't have a doctor. I had to get registered with a doctor. Then I had to... it's just, you know, it's just a massive headache. It was a phenomenally massive headache.
Was it good to get the diagnosis, or
well, it was good to... because now I've got a free house. But, no.
Was it relief?
No,
was it relief to find out?
No, was it? Well, not for the person who used to own the house. No, was it? It was good to get the diagnosis. Well, what was brilliant, and this is why I didn't get a specialist diagnosis when I was 20, was because it was like a light in the darkness.
Yeah.
It was, everything was going wrong. It was such a... I grew up in the 80s, where sort of autism didn't exist. I was in a small town in the 80s. I didn't even know that being gay existed. When I went to educational psychologist, they said I was cross-lateral, which basically means my strong eye is the wrong way round from my strong hand, which basically means we don't know what's wrong with you.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, so we're going to say something.
So did you go to a special school, or did you just go to a normal?
No, I won't say my school was either special or normal. It was like a state school in Crawley. Yeah. It was a nice school, but I think the problem is if you're doing average, if you're a genius. No, if you're doing average, then schools, they don't worry so much because you're getting by. But there's lots of people who, like the just about managing, the struggling, who shouldn't be just about getting by. They should be performing to their full potential. Yeah. And they should be given help to do that.
Yeah. I want to ask you about comedy. Do you find that... How does comedy help you?
Well,
because it's a big challenge, isn't it, to stand up?
Well, basically, what they do for kids now is they do CBT, which putting them in tricky social situations. Yeah. So if you imagine doing comedy, travelling to gigs, you know, when I started comedy, I couldn't walk into a pub on my own because I was 8. No, I couldn't. No, I couldn't walk into a pub on my own. I couldn't sit down on public transport because of eye contact, all this sort of different stuff. So I've had like 13 years of full-on CBT in the most tricky situations, and now I'm glad to say I've cured autism. Yeah. So
Robert.
No,
Robert, unfortunately, and I know you're a man who likes a time check. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, and I really want to tell people that you've got a tour coming up.
All right.
And that we're going to put all the details of Robert's tour next year on our website, so please do look out for that. Cool. Robert, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for having me.